Hi everybody. If I can pop one here real quick. All right, there we go. Hello everyone. How are y'all doing today? If you're hopping in, make sure you say where you're watching from. Hi Becky. Where are my spectacles today? So I can see, but I think I'm at the wrong height because I can sort of see. Sorry, that light is glaring. So I was going to pop one here and make a video using the tropical leaf. Oh, Rhonda, look at you. Are you at work? Shh. The tropical leaf stamp set and punch bundle. I was going to say die, but it's not dies. And the other reason I was going to pop off, hey Becky from Pennsylvania, nice to see you. I made a video earlier, actually made a recording, so I want to ask you in your opinion. Hi Cindy, I know I haven't been on in ages. We have the day off, so I got to make cards a little bit. We went to Amazing Glaze and did some stuff. We went to breakfast, so it was a really nice day. So I want to ask your opinion, and the reason I'm asking is because you all will be watching this video. I created a video earlier today, and I actually filmed it instead of doing a YouTube live upload, and it's really informative, but half of it is upside down because the way I had to film my camera. So I'm not sure if people are going to be into that or if I should just put it on there with just the info, cut it, and then remake the other video. So if you had a chance to if you had a chance to maybe listen to a video and kind of strategically put your device so you could make it so, you know how when you turn your phone and it keeps flipping the other way even though you're trying to get it straight. So if you could watch a video and potentially adjust your device that it wasn't upside down, would you watch it or would you just rather have the information? Or maybe you could just listen to it. It's like, maybe it should just be a podcast. Maybe I should label it as a watch at your own discretion. Here's a podcast. But anyway, the reason I wanted to hop on, I'm gonna show you a couple of the things that I talked about. And I really wasn't preparing to go live, but you know, that's kind of how I do. I do lives at the last minute. That's what I should start calling these, live at the last minute. So I'm going to tell you a couple of things in case people are like, yeah, I don't want to watch that. So these colors are going to be retiring very soon. So these are the 2021-23 in colors: Fresh Freesia, Pale Papaya, Early Evening Evergreen, Soft Succulent, and Polished Pink. I'm trying to think without reading because I can't really see because they're backwards and I'm at the wrong vision state here. But anyway, I do actually need these glasses. It's been that long that I actually have to use my glasses. So if you don't have ink refills for these, or if you love these colors, I would suggest buying them now. Reason being is they will be retiring one way or the other. It's very rare that they carry over in color to a color collection. That has happened. Coastal Cabana was one of the miracles that happened because that's one of my favorite colors. But if you don't have the ink refill, these will sell out because I know these are very popular colors. Specifically Polished Pink. I know people love the greens. I personally love Pale Papaya. It's one of my favorite colors. So I already bought another set of blends, a stack of paper. I think that was it because I already have the ink refill. But the other reason I'm telling you this is because we are going to have a color refresh. And what that means is we are going to lose some colors. So you know we have color families: brights, neutrals, regals, subtles. We're going to lose some colors, but we don't know what colors because they don't really tell us stuff, that much ahead of time. So if you have a paper or an ink that's your favorite color, definitely at least buy the ink refill so you can still use it. If you have paper that you want to get, paper. Me personally, I have some colors that I'm ready to get rid of, which I was talking about earlier. One of them being Rich Razzleberry. I don't even own paper for this. That's how infrequently I use that color. I also think that Sahara Sand needs to actually look like sand because it kind of looks like radioactive green sand, which is not something you want to be walking on. But I wish we had a more soft color to complement Crumb Cake because I love Crumb Cake. I love Soft Suede. I like Early Espresso. I guess I wish it was like an actual deep brown. So baked brown sugar, that would make me happy. But there are going to be some colors disappearing. I could have color speculation of what I think it's going to be, but honestly, I have no idea. I know some people do like mint macaron. Some people don't. Maybe that'll disappear. for some reason, it's just popping in my head because it's such a weird color. I almost want to have like a guessing raffle, and then if you get a certain amount of colors right, we like do something, but I wonder how to do that. And will I follow through with it? Probably not. Old Olive, I could see disappearing because it's kind of a in-betweeny green, and I think we could use a different green. Pear Pizzazz is kind of like light Old Olive, so I don't know. What colors do you think are going to be disappearing? I wish we had a really nice yellow. I do miss Pineapple Punch. It's one of my favorites. Still have it. Just don't use it right now. Because our yellow, So Saffron is just like too light. Daffodil Delight is great. Crushed Curry is more of an orangey. I do love mango, but I don't wonder if we're going to get rid of that because we've had a lot of trouble with the ink pad. But anyway, that's what I was talking about earlier. So what I'm going to do is flip you down. Let me just move this out of the way. I have a really cute card, and I wanted to show you a couple tips with this. So once I flip you, you'll see what we're talking about. So if you don't want to get nauseous like you're on a ride, just look away for a minute. Flip you down. Okay, and we are settled and situated. So you will get to see what we're working on. So Rhonda, you're talking to your mom. Yeah, that's kind of how when I talk to my dad on the phone, I basically just listen when he says to me, do you understand what I mean? And I'm like, why do you have to keep asking me that? I love him. Of course I understand. I'm a human. I understand words, but heavens, heavens, heavens. That's all I can say. So Tropical Leaf stamp set. Now, y'all know I'm not a super fan of photopolymer, but I really love these type of flowers, plants, leaves, whatever it is you want to call them. So I thought sometimes you have to make an exception. So I did. This has a coordinating punch. These are not currently on back order, so you can get the bundle. So I was kind of fooling around with this, and I know it is like a large leaf palm. However, I believe I'm pronouncing it correctly, callidium. Does anybody else love callidium? I know they're a lot thinner than this. They're definitely more of a narrow plant, but I love callidium because they come in so many different shades of green. There's white with speckles and pink and so many different like striations of color interspersed. So this is what I thought of. Also, I wanted to show you there is a new basic 3D embossing folder pack. So you get all three of these in one thing. They are $30. So you have like a flowery kind of a pattern. I really like the dots too. But this one I kind of thought the texture of it almost would be like the subtles. So this is what it looks like embossed. And I did this in Parakeet Party. And then afterwards I picked the colors, and then I thought, well, they are not going to go together. But I kind of started laying them down. And I think maybe they might be able to go together. So I'm going to work with it. So I'm going to show you what I did to get this. You may or may not like all of it, and that's totally fine. I kind of mix-matched what I was doing, but I'm just going to give you a couple ideas. This is shaded spruce cardstock stamped in shaded spruce, and you can see I did two different things. So you could put them separately if you wanted to. And then I got the bright ideas of doing both of them together. So this is soft sea foam with soft sea foam, but then I kind of felt like I needed to set it off a little bit, so I stamped the veins in shaded spruce. And then the other thing I did, this is where I started really fooling around. So this is polished pink cardstock, and I did polished pink, and then I also rolled in a little bit of sweet sorbet. So I'm going to show you this just so you can see. This one is one of the ones that's going to be retiring. Sweet sorbet, we still have another year. But I thought I'd show you just a couple things and then just a few tips. So first off, you do have a larger and a smaller. You have the inside veins. I really love the sentiments. That was one of the things that totally sold me. A pretty pink, I agree, because this pink is like green-gray. Petal pink, it's just, and it's okay. Same with like Blushing Bride. It's just not pink enough. It's like strange pink. I do like Flirty Flamingo, but I think we need like a lighter version of that. I also really like Melon Mambo, but there just needs to be like an in-between kind of pink. So that's what we're shooting for. So I'm going to show you with this because I have not actually used the smaller stamp yet. I'm going to show you what I did to prep this to get it to stamp a little bit better. All right, so let me just move a couple of these things off to the side. So I'm going to do smaller ones here. Now, granted, this punch is too big for these, but I'm just going to fussy cut them so you can see what it is I'm getting at. So I'm going to grab 2 blocks And if you really even wanted to get more out of the stamp set, what you could do, honestly, you probably could even reverse this if you wanted like a solid image. So you can flip photopolymer and stamp with both sides. So the most important thing to do before you start anything, quite honestly, is cleaning your stamps. So here it is. I was going to say, where did my little cleaner go? Now this one is the old tried and true Stampin' Scrub. Still one of my favorite things to use. What you do is you spray, almost must be empty. I have to get another one of these. Stampin' Mist, which is a pleasant smelling stamp cleaning spray. You can also just use a microfiber cloth, which I use pretty frequently. You could just use a chamois with water. But when you're using photopolymer for the first time, it's kind of important to get all the little crud off of the stamp, if that makes sense. And also, if you live in a house with a dog, it's important that you don't have dog hair. So, little furry beast behind me. You got to make sure that you don't have furry beast fur on your stuff when you're making cards. All right, so I'm going to wipe that because I had some crud on the back. So cleaning it, I mean, all of your stamps you kind of would want to clean before you start, but more particularly with photopolymer. And then another thing, and I'm going to show you this. That's why I'm going to show you actually with this, just because I know it's a little bit crazy. But you're going to ink this. I'm going to go with polished pink. And you can see it's a little bubbly, okay? So I'm going to stamp that. Okay, so remember, this is the first time. This has never been used. So you can see there's a little bit of bubbling on here. So another thing that you can do, and for this, I'm going to just bring out my microfiber cloth and just wipe this off. Okay, so another thing you can do is actually inking it with Versamark. Now, that is more so because this is a very solid image stamp. So it does kind of tend to sometimes show imperfections. But you should get at least a slightly better stamp if you do Versamark first. Cindy, you have two furry girls? Yeah, I got a furry dog that needs a bath. He has not had a bath since Christmas, and he stinks. So even with just the Versamarking first, you have more of a solid image. Okay, so that's one thing you want to keep in mind. Now, another thing you can do, and this kind of depends on where you want to go with this stamp. So I'm going to preface it by saying that. Just going to spray this. I just want to clean this off because I'm going to go back in my Versamark again. Now, the one cool thing about Versamark is even if you have a dirty Versamark, which I have plenty, some of them are stained, that it doesn't actually stamp blue. So even though color may go on it, you don't have to worry about it ruining your stamp. Okay, it doesn't transfer. It's just the ink. But they're really good at re-inking. If you have the Versamark ink refill, that's another great thing you should get. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly tap this, very lightly, and then I did this earlier. So this kind of depends on what you think of it. It's up for interpretation. Then what I did is I kind of rolled the edges of the stamp. So then you had this little outline. Granted, you want to be careful because you will just need to watch the edges of your block just so you don't get ink all over whatever it is you're doing. But you can ink it like this and then you'll have a line. Or if you take a little spritzer and I'm trying to be far away and you just spray it, kind of move the water around just a little bit. I'll soften it. You can spray or spray. Geez whiz. You can spray. The other way you can do it, oh, I got a dimensional in this, Lord have mercy, is you could even take just the edges and stamp the edges. Same thing again. Kind of depends on what kind of spray bottle you have on what you're going to get, but you want a very soft mist. And you can see if you do that, you can actually get the water to move around on there a little bit. Sometimes you won't get as crisp of an image. So, for example, the circles aren't going to be quite as pronounced. And that could look like a hot mess, but give it time, let it dry. Because a couple of the other ones I did didn't really look so great. And I was like, ooh, what did I do that for? But once I actually stamped the lines in, it kind of looked nice. right, we're going to just do one more. I'm going to do one more just over here for now. So again, this is Sweet Sorbet. Yep, that's it. Sweet Sorbet. So I stamped off. Oh, here's a dog here. And then what I'm going to do is I have a little bit of ink here. So I'm just going to spray this one more time. It's not a lot. It's going to be very light. Oh, that kind of just looks like a heart. That was too light. It was almost just too light. What I want to do is stamp off on something. There we go. That way it's not too dark. So Sweet Sorbet. And then I'm going to go into Polished Pink on the edge. Kind of rocking around the edge. Now, so this is basically what I did. I just went through and kind of did some different ink combos. It's got a little bit more at the tip, which I'm going to flip this over for this one. If you've ever seen those Callidium, they kind of do go that way. Yeah, that's just a little bit. I think I must be too close because of the camera. It's just a little too wet, but you'll see what I mean. I'm not going to get rid of them. So then I'm going to keep this because it's the darker ink. And I have my other stamp already here. Now we're just going to add in some veins. So put this, you're just kind of lining it up. Veining on there. That one's super light. Let's see what it looks like on the other side. We might just cut this one instead. That looks really good. So even after the fact, it still kind of turns out pretty cool. Once you build it. This one's a little blobby. I don't really think I would even do that one. And even the one that I stamped first where it was a little bit dotty, once the ink dried a little bit, it really wasn't terrifically bad. I kind of like this. It kind of looks like some sort of a animal was, not an animal, a bug, an insect was cutting its way through. So for this, what I would do is just take my scissors, and I'll show you a few things, and just kind of fussy cut. So again, the other punch is for the larger. Granted, you wouldn't have your little clip pieces cut out unless you really wanted to, but I'm just going to cut just a couple of these, and then we're going to actually use what we have here and make a card. So I don't know if anyone saw, I have not been doing anything video related whatsoever on Facebook. I strictly am here on YouTube doing videos, but I have been posting just some general stuff on Facebook. And I posted something the other day of people naming whatever they thought that one of the new Stampin' Up colors would be. So I was going with, I think I picked mine was like So Sunny, which I think would be a great color for a yellow. And I know they used to have yo-yo yellow. I was not in stamping in the days of yo-yo yellow, but I think it's still a pretty color. But I think that one was super yellowy. I'm not going to cut those three out. I'm just going to do these two just to show you what we're going to do for this card. And I'm still thinking of an idea as I'm going. I'm hoping whatever I have in my mind is going to work out well. And I want to show you one other thing that you could do with these leaves. Just to make them a little bit more realistic as we go, because I actually did it with the other ones that I punched out. Does anyone have any colors that they wish were coming back? I really will say that I miss Tempting Turquoise, but since we have Tahitian Tide, I'm perfectly satisfied with that, but I know it's an in color. I'm wondering how this color refresh is going to potentially impact if they're going to change anything up, but who knows? I know that that would be a nice color if you ask me. All right, so we have our 4 leaves that we did. So what I did is I took a bone folder and I did a couple things. So you can kind of follow the line down if you want. Now, when you have these type of leaves with the little clips in it, it does make it easier. So I'm going to just show you what I mean on this. So if you were to take, granted, this is above and beyond, so don't feel like you have to do this part, but not really that hard to do, even if you did it maybe for like 2. There's that. And do one more. So what you're going to do is you could take your bone folder and just kind of bend the leaves, just the individual leaves, kind of make some of them go up, some of them go down. And then what I usually do is I kind of bring it up through the middle here, so it gives a little bit of depth to your actual leaf. So now you can see it's kind of 3D, okay? So one other thing I'm going to show you, I'll show you on this one, but then I want to go back and fool with these before I do any other ones. You can kind of bend your leaf. Same thing again if you wanted to make a, like a little bit, just kind of following and making a little bit of a vein here. That way you can kind of bend this to each side. There you go. Same thing, and then I kind of come up in the middle. You do want to be careful because, again, remember, it is just paper. If you're a little bit too rough on it, it certainly will rip. But the other thing I did is I went back, and I did this with every single one of these, and I took my leaf and I rolled, kind of just rolled the edges, and it obviously is easier to do when you're doing these pieces that don't have the cuts in them, because these have a little bit of a gap, so they're a little bit difficult. But roll it, and it kind of gives you that, the edge that almost all callidium have. And again, I know this is not a callidium, but it really reminds me of it. And I just love them because they give such great appeal with really minimal effort. I don't know if it's just because also having the pool that it makes them different, but I really love them. This one here that just has these on it, I'm going to just do like a little cut in here. So it doesn't even really need to match up with what the other one would necessarily look like. Cut here. Here. I'll do one more up top. Okay. So I think I have a pretty wide variety of the pink and green leaves. Maybe we could use a few more green, but I think we're just going to make it work for now. So here is my plan. I wanted to use this as the background. So this is the embossed folder that I showed you from earlier, the embossing folder. This is the embossed piece. So this is debossed, which means it's going in, and then embossed, it's sticking out. So I'm going to use this side. And I think what I'm going to do is I might trim this down a little bit, and I think I'm going to layer it onto a black card base. Because I feel like if you're having the bright pink and the vivid green, that sometimes doing it on a base like that just makes it better. So I'm going to go ahead. I just happen to have this one. I just pulled out, thankfully. So this is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And I'm going to cut this if this isn't 4 by 5 1/4. Yep, so I'm going to cut this down to 4 by 5 1/4. Now, I just cut this little piece off. I might save this to use for the inside. If not, I'm going to chuck it because I'm not keeping stuff that I don't use any longer. And I just want to get an idea for what I think I might do. So what we're going to do is put this down. Okay, I still want to incorporate these vines in here somehow. So what I think I might do is just to put a strip of cardstock in the middle and then kind of put the leaves all around. So I'm going to grab piece of white. Let's see what I have. I am going to need something. We'll use that. I am going to need something for the inside for sure since it's black, obviously. Because I don't have any white gel pens that work that much. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this down to 4 by 5 1/4, and then we'll trim up that little middle panel. I'm hoping it's going to look okay. Guess we'll find out in a minute. And I want to have enough. I thought I changed my trimmer blade, but I must have gone to one that was recycled because it's not looking great. I feel like I want maybe about, could that be like 2.5 inch piece? Yeah, I'm going to do 2.5, and I think I am going to keep it by 5.5. I'm going to trim this, and this one has a little yucky poo on it. All right, luckily that cut off, and let's see how this looks. So if we were to do this, oh, I forgot that was 5 1/4. Oops. 5 1/4. All right. Hi, Barb. So the other thing I mentioned on the whole video that I did earlier that I did not finish going through with is that they also have online exclusives now. I guess we should say finally, because I feel like everybody else had this except for us, and now we finally have it. So I guess better late than never. But basically, online exclusives are going to be items that are strictly carried online. There won't be a printed publication of them, if that makes sense. One thing about photopolymer, you can kind of bend them. So I'm going to do one of these kind of bent to the side. And I'm going to go with garden green because I don't want them too dark. And we're going to just add a few stems to this. But the online publications, the nice part is they are going to change. So there'll be different stuff on there, which is kind of nice. I feel like this is correct. Okay, before I re-ink, I'm going to just move over here. You know what I want to do? I want to pick this up and shift it. So I'm being a little brave here, and I'm going to pick it up and see if I can change the curve just a little bit. Okay. You guys like, I finally got a brand new garden green ink pad. I didn't have to jack it together before I started anything or kind of fix it to get it open, which is what I was doing prior. All right, so you have that. And I want to stamp this, but I want to stamp it off first because I want to fill in just a little bit more here because I don't really know how many we're going to necessarily use. One other thing I'm going to do, and I did not prep this prior to cleaning it, so there are a couple spots on here where it's a little bit, say, splotchy, like it's not filled in completely, but I'm okay with that. While I have this out, I'm going to just make just a little bit of a grass look at the bottom. So with the ink that's wet, so this is without adding anything to it, I'm just kind of adding just a little bit here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and pick up just a little bit of ink. And I'm going to kind of just tap it on here. So it kind of looks like, I'll say ground cover. I don't really want a blended background, but I want just a little something down there. So it's not like these are just floating out in space. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to just blend this just slightly. There we go. That looks pretty good. I don't want to overdo it because we are going to pop the leaves up from there. Again, that one was garden green. If you wanted to stick more so with the shaded spruce, you totally could. All right, so we have this. We have this. And I almost feel like maybe, I wonder if I'm going to need to trim it down a little bit, but I'm going to just start laying some of these here anyway. So if you wanted to, what you could also do is just add in a little bit of very lightly stamped leaves in the background. I think I'm going to do just a couple. Hi, Diana. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Hope you are well. And to do that, I'm actually going to go with polished pink. And I'm going to go ahead and use the larger image, but I'm going to just stamp this off first because I want it to be really light. Oh, look at that. I must not have cleaned my green off of there. And see, I just put a green stamp on there. Oh, Rachel. When will you learn? Probably never. I make mistakes so you don't have to. That's like my tagline, I guess, these days. I'm going to just clean this off again. And polished pink. This might still be just a little too dark. I want to see how it looks for 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 is a little too light. So I think I'm going to just go with 1. And I'm just going to put just maybe 1 stamp. Be mindful because sometimes if you stamp something, you can pick another ink up in the background, especially if it's lighter. So just be mindful of that. I'm only going to stamp one more after this because I kind of just want it to fill in. So I'm just wiping that off every time just in case I'm picking up some of that garden green. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And I'm going to, just for the sake of consistency, I'm going to do the same thing with the Sweet Sorbet with the veins. I'm just going to pop those in. Yeah. Did it again. Had some shaded spruce on there. Okay. 1. I'm not even going to re-ink this. 2. Let's see if we can get a 3rd one out of it. Nope. 3. Okay, kind of just for a little bit of backgroundy. Now we're going to do the rest of it is labeling. Just move these over so I don't clunk anything into anything. This and this. Okay, so now I'm going to just layer these together. I am going to use some liquid glue, a generous amount because this is embossed, just to make sure it gets in all the nooks and crannies and does not fall off of our card. Okay. I do have my green on. You'll have to go back and watch the beginning of the video. I have my St. Patrick's Day gnome shirt. We did not have school today. We were pleasantly off. So Rainbow Stamper and I'm going to pop that up as well. Rainbow Stamper and I went out and he got a green bagel for breakfast. And then we went and did Amazing Glaze. I don't know if you guys have an Amazing Glaze. I'm sure you probably are familiar with what I'm talking about, but we went to Amazing Glaze and he did some pottery, did some painting. He isn't feeling well lately, he has a crazy cold, so I was trying to do something to make him feel just slightly better. So we did that, which was a lot of fun. And now I'm going to just begin by kind of layering these things and seeing what I might want in different places. So I just want a mix of leaves, some of them going up, some of them going down. See, I probably should have, I'm going to just do one more of these because I feel like I need another small green. So let me clean this before I ruin, because Lord knows if you're going to spray a soft seafoam with any sort of a pink, it's definitely going to leave a mark, that's for sure. So let me just clean that off, and then I'll just add this. We chat while I do that part. So I'm going to do 2. Might have to do one on the other side. Yep, we'll just go down here. No big deal. And just to make it simple, I'm just going to do both of them here. And then I'm going to add my veins with shaded spruce, trim it, and then I'll just round it in the shaded spruce ink. So I will try not to make this entirely too long. There we go. Close this until I get these nipped out. So we did, we had a lot of fun. He missed 2 days of school, unfortunately, this week because he was not feeling well and he didn't want to get any of his classmates sick. Bless his heart. So, but yesterday we had a half day, which also was pretty nice. We go to Mass on Thursdays at school. So that's always fun. But the kids got to set up leprechaun traps on Wednesday in preschool. And then they got to see if any leprechauns showed up. And I heard there was quite a mess in the room. That they came and they did not catch any leprechauns, but they got some gold coins, I think. So that's always fun. So I'm going to just take and just do a little snip on these. Again, not going for perfection, just trying to make a little bit of something, a little variance here. So just doing a little nipping. We only have 50 days of school left. It's hard to believe it has gone by that fast. He is in the 3rd grade now. I can't believe we're in the last trimester of school. He only has 1 trimester left of 3rd grade. Isn't that crazy how fast time goes by? I cannot quite believe it myself. We had school pictures. They used to do them in the beginning of the end, but you know, when all that business with the Rona went around, they kind of cut out a lot of stuff. So we finally got class pictures again, which makes me so happy because the last class picture I have is from kindergarten. So we got class pictures again. So once I get that back, I will share it with you all. But I'm excited because I'll have a different picture to put up on the wall because we've been looking at kindergarten for the past 4 years. I'm just going to do the same thing, just gently with this by just rounding the edges. And I'm trying not to make them all go the same way because, you know, plants aren't like that. I'm just taking these and bending. Yes, it certainly does. Time flies for sure. Can't believe I've been making videos. I finally got to 5,000 subscribers, which I thought was just mind-blowing to me. I mean, I know you all are just like, why wouldn't people love you? But to me, I'm still like, why would they? I'm going to do a couple of these green and pink leaves. I'm not going to do the cutting for this. I'm just going to kind of roll the plant a little bit. But the nice part about doing this with your bone folder, you can kind of get different variations as well. And we're going to just kind of plug all these in. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pop some of these in different places. Maybe pop a couple of different ones up. But I am going to put some of them flat and some on dimensionals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start with the bottom. I'm going to glue this one down. And before I glue it down, I'm going to just put just the edges up like it's trying to look for the sun. Denmark. Hi, Connie. Wow. That's awesome. Thank you for joining us from Denmark. How amazing. Oh, Diana, you're so sweet. I think you're probably one of the nicest ladies I have on here, who's always so encouraging. Thank you for those kind words. That is really very nice. So Denmark, I'm guessing if we're coming in on spring, you all are probably getting ready to head into spring as well. But I know that you all have different temperature ranges than we do. I know I was telling Christian the other day about Australia, how when we have our summer months, that they actually have cold in their summer because we are on opposite seasons, which was kind of neat because we were talking about the fact of could it ever snow on the 4th of July, you know, here in the United States anyway. And I was like, I really don't think so. And he said, well, what if it got cold enough? And I thought, well, I guess. But then we were talking about Australia, and I said, well, you know, now that I think about it, it is possible. I guess it just depends on what hemisphere you live in. Let's see, I'll put one here. I think I want to put this one in because I really just like the color of it. Maybe this one will just be a little bit down here. I'm not going to add any dimensional to this one. We'll just kind of pop it partially underneath and kind of keep that part flipped up. I need a little something here for the center, and I don't know if I want to go large or small. I feel like we have a lot of the same kind of leaves here. Do one of these bigger ones and then maybe a little small leaf kind of going off. I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to do a couple. And this one might require 2 sets of dimensional stacked, just so we can kind of get the height to match with this. So this would probably be one that if you are mailing it, unfortunately, I know everything with the Postal Service these days is cuckoo, might be a little extra postage. Let's see. That looks cool. And again, you can keep building, so you can have some coming off to the side. So I'm going to continue to add these, just place them in where I think. And the only other thing we need to add is a sentiment. And I'm thinking I'm going to put something maybe down here at the bottom. And maybe we can add another, you know how these are kind of always growing around each other. Maybe like that. I think that'll be maybe my last one. I just refilled my glue, and I think I must have went just a little too high because it's squirting out the top, which has never happened before. But if you all have never used this Barely Art, they actually, you can get this in different places, but I get it in Amazon. You can actually buy a refill. But the cool part is this does not look very attractive at the moment. It comes with different tips. So you can actually have like a different, this is the fine tip. There's a little bit larger of a tip. There's a much bigger tip, but it's really nice because it's sticky, but it's not too sticky. But just the tip of the glue, oh, it's my favorite part of it. So I think that's going to be enough for now. Now, you know, when it rains, we always end up getting a little bit of dew on our flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit of Wink of Stella. I'm going to try to be careful because you have to remember this is going to reactivate your ink. So you want to stay in the same color families until you are finished. So I would do just pinks, then I'll wipe it off, and then I'll do some greens. But just add a little bit. This marker is pretty, or I should say this Wink of Stella brush is pretty dead. I don't ever get rid of these though because these are super great for doing watercoloring or just adding a little bit of shimmer to something. We use these a lot in class. If we're doing a blending situation, they'll do this with ink instead. I'll show you what I mean in a second. It'll be easier to explain it. So for example, say if you want to add just like a little bit of green to this, you'll go ahead and squeeze. Oh, that wasn't nearly enough. This is the new one. And then you can pick this up and you actually will just get a shimmery paint. So you can see, hold on, I'll show you this in just a second. You can actually paint and then you'll also have shimmer in with your paint. So it's really super, super useful. So I have so many of these. I probably need to find out a system of how to mark the ones that are dead, as I call them, because they're empty. But you can use them with watercoloring. You can reactivate some of the ink or some of the shimmer in there also, just if you add like a little bit of water to a dish. So for example, if I take this stamp off, I have this right here, and this is just water in here, and I have just a little puddle, and you just reactivate it, it'll kind of re-wet your whatever sparkles are in there. And you can see that gave a good amount of shimmer. So I have so many of these, but they're really great for just doing like little projects, or if you need if you're having classes and you need to have a little bit of extra paintbrush options or something, if people are doing something with watercolors or blending or something like that. So I find it really useful. Only thing you want to do is make sure you clean it off every time you use it. So there is that. Let me wipe this off so I don't get glitter on something by accident. And then lastly, hopefully I didn't ruin that. Nope, here's the inside of our card. We have to do a sentiment. And again, since I have a lot of this pink and green, black in the background, I'm going to do black as my background. I have a little scrap here. And I think what I'm going to do is, thanks so much. I really love the fonts on this. Again, as I said, I'm not a fan of photopolymer stamps by any means at all. You guys know that for sure. But if it's a really good font, I'll make an exception. I think I'm going to stamp on this end. So I'm going to use VersaFine ink. Is super for detail. This is not a product that Stampin' Up! Carries, but you can find it Amazon and all those other places. The only thing is you have to let it have time to dry. So I'm going to stamp that. Beautiful. Such detail. This needs to set, though, before I cut it apart. In the meantime, I'm going to just fill in this. I said I was going to add, I think, this at the bottom. Why not? Might as well. I think that's going to be perfect on there. Yeah, because it's 4. So I'm just going to put a little. Yeah, I definitely overfilled this time. I Rachel'd it. I'm going to put just a little line of glue down here at the bottom. And, oh, you know what I should have done? I just thought of an idea. I should have done it before that, but I'll do it at the top. Just going to add, this is just a little piece I trimmed off earlier. You could even, if you were feeling fancy, put one at the top and one at the bottom. Take it apart and add alcohol. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. See, I've never done that because usually what I do is just typically dip it in something to use it, but that is a great idea. Pardon me, I do have a tickle, so I'm going to have a little coffee. I'm going to trim off that little teeny piece. And then before I'm finished, I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to stamp just at the top. Let me clean this one off. I'm going to clean this. I'm going to stamp this at the top. Just like so. Ah, I'll botch that one up. Stinkers. That's all right. I'll cover it in a second anyway. It's a pretty light color, so I don't want to say it's forgiving, but it will kind of blend in. Then I'm going to use the shaded spruce. Let me just wipe this off. I mean, pink going into green isn't going to really matter, but, you know, vice versa is never a good idea. That, and probably if I'm going to, so I have these little pieces here that are going to run over. What I'm going to do is actually just wipe this with my finger. So it kind of almost looks like one's covering the other one. There you go. That's not so bad. I could have really gone above and beyond with the masking, but we're at the inside of the card here, so I really need to take it down a notch. All right, let me just clean up these dimensionals. Make sure I don't have any glue boogies on here. Since I kind of did a little whoopsie there, I'm going to just take whatever is on this, and I'm just going to softly just do a little bit, kind of filled in that little whoops gap there. So that was just with whatever ink I had available. And then I'm going to add this to the inside. And then the only other thing we have to do is add our sentiment. Okay, put this on the inside. You could even put it the other way if you really wanted to. Could have put the leaves at the bottom and flipped it around, but okay, so there's that. I'm just going to give this just another second while I'm waiting. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to cut all the way around this. That, if they wanted to come out with some dies, because I know we have another stamp set that has a set of dies. I can't remember which one it is. No, not Kind and Sincere. It's another great one. I have the stamp set, but I don't have the dies. Beautiful sentiments, and it actually has stuff that you can die cut with. So I'm going to go in and just gently, I'm turning my paper, so if you are new to fussy cutting, you're just going to kind of keep your scissors in the same place and turn your paper. There we go. Kind of, I don't want to keep that straight because it does have that very scripty handwriting. I love this font. So pretty. Okay. So if you did miss this at the beginning, make sure you go back. I gave a few hints with getting things ordered. I'm trying not to touch this because it could technically still be wet because it is a pigment ink, so it stays wet a little bit longer. It's fabulous for embossing. A couple tips. Talked about some of our ink colors that are going to be retiring and our Color Fresh that's coming up, so make sure you go back and check that out if you have a minute. If you haven't already, I would also love for you to subscribe to my channel. Share this with someone else you think would enjoy it. There you go. It looks pretty good. Now, what I'm going to do for this oppositely is I'm actually going to do this with pink, just so it kind of sticks out. And I'm going to put some dimensionals on that as well. So let me grab, this one should be fine, I think, sponge dauber wise. Yeah. I'm going to grab my Sweet Sorbet, and I'm going to try to be gentle. Connie, I am so jealous. We have not had any snow all winter. I fib. The other day, we had snow flurries. That's it. We had 0 snow in Maryland. It was the most lame winter I have ever experienced in my entire life. So lame. Not even just for me, but you know, the kids, they like snow. They like snow. They like, oh, this is a little dark. They like snow. They like sledding, building snowmen, making snowballs, and eating. I mean, all that kind of stuff. All the stuff that we got to do. Pooh. This was the lamest winter ever. And I hope we get a blizzard next year because this was exceptionally disappointing. So I am very jealous that you got snow. I would even take snow in March or April at this point. Also, the other fact is, darn it, we didn't even get any snow days. I think that was more disappointing to the teachers than anything. There were literally no snow days this year. Oh, and a leaf on the envelope, a limp. Listen to me. I want to show you something. I'll show you. I'm actually just uploaded this, so it's not going to be ready just yet. But I'll show you. I'll give you a little sneak peek of what's coming later when we're finished putting this sentiment on. So remember, I did get a little dimensional crazy because this layer's on a dimensional and then we have dimensionals here. So this could be a little bit of extra postage. But, you know, I think we're worth it, right? Your friends are worth it. Oh, I think this is so cute. Just reminds me of summer. And you know what? Since we didn't get any snow at this point, it just might as well be summer because that's really, truly how I feel about the whole situation. But it's a really cute card. It's got a lot of layers to it. Only thing that might be a little dicey is these two, which I probably should have thought about ahead of time. I might have to adjust these two because they are not going to fit in an envelope. What did I put this on with? Glue. Oh, look, my glue works so well. The only other thing I could probably do is attempt to curl these leaves up a little bit so So when they go in, you definitely, that was a whoopsie I made. You want to keep everything inside the frame of your 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, or otherwise you're going to need a really big envelope. So I'm going to have to make sure these really curl up when I put them in, depending on who I give it to. But I think they are really, really cute. Okay, so going back, one other thing. I'm going to show you. There, where is it? Here's one I did, and this one's going to be popping up shortly as soon as I finish doing it. But I'm just going to show you the envelope. I'm not going to show you the card. Oh, look at that. I'm frozen. Here we go. Sorry about that. I'm just going to show you the envelope. I'm not going to show you the card. You didn't miss anything. My battery is apparently low. But I put some of the Dandy Designs DSP. These are the craft note cards and envelopes. So you get 20 of each. 20 envelopes and 20 note cards. They're a little bit smaller. They are 3 1/2 by 5. But it's a great little piece you can add to your add some of your DSP, which is really cute. That card you'll have to stay tuned for. I'm going to try to finish uploading it after I finish this video, and then you guys can see that later. It's really, really, really a cute card. That uses the Rhino Ready stamp set, which is another newer online exclusive stamp set. I'm sure you've seen plenty of them, but they are really cute. And I mean, let's be honest, who doesn't like new stuff? I love new stuff. If you all don't know that about me by now, you don't know much of anything. But I'm just going to go back and just make sure. You've had 80 inches of snow. I'm so jealous. Holy moly. That's a lot. Don't get me wrong, Mary. That's a real lot. But wow, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. All right, I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything else. Your grandson loved making a snowman. That's so cute. I love it. That is just amazing. That's what Christian just wanted to ride his sleigh, because he's got, I think since we've gotten sleighs and sleds, we have had less snow. So maybe we need to get rid of them, not buy any snowshoes or snow pants or anything, and then we should be set for next year, which is just crazy. Well, you know, Mary, winter only lasts until Monday. On Monday, spring begins. So then you can start counting your spring snow, which I'm sure you probably want to reach through the camera here and smack me for saying that. But I think that's life of living in Minnesota, right? You always have those lake effect and Canada wind snows that kind of come down. I hope you all have enjoyed this card today. I want to thank everybody who took time to stop by and see me. Thank you so much. I know I haven't been able to be on as much. It's just really difficult between the school year, and then also I hurt my shoulder, and it's been going on for some time now. I'm actually went to physical therapy for several weeks, but I had to get a cortisone shot the other day. So I'm really hoping after that settles in, and then going to PT again. But man, I am so limited with the use of my right arm, which I'm right-handed, so that really makes everything super difficult, that I can kind of get back into this a little bit more. So I want to thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your St. Patrick's Day weekend. Hi, Bernadette from DC. Nice to see you. You're not so far. Bernadine, I'm sorry, from DC. If you have a chance, Bernadine, you can go back and watch the beginning. We are wrapping up right now. If you would like to get any of these supplies and more, you can shop my online store 24/7, rachthestamper.stampinup.net. I will post all the measurements for this and all the supplies used to my blog once I get some time to type it up and everything and photograph everything. So if you haven't already, you can find me at rachthestamper.com. I do try to keep all of the current things updated on there. So if you're looking to find when the newest Paper Pumpkin starts, or what the next month's Paper Pumpkin will be, or special